Costa, and I will present my team, Carlos Filman and Rafael Gagnon. We would like to welcome the client, the International Workers and Amateurs in Sports Confederation. We would like to welcome the scientific committee, the AISTS staff, our colleagues, and all our distinguished guests. Today's presentation, we have divided it in 4 main parts. First, we will present our objectives, then the methodology and the process we used to help CSIT and World Sport Games, which is their main event. We will also tell you how we used the theory that we have learned both from the literature and from experts and applied it to the case studies in order to get useful guidelines for the next 2 years of CSIT. And finally, we will present the results and the recommendations. Initially, our project was about fundraising. It was fundraising, positioning, so we were given a task, but then we had to meet with the client and we had to further explore this task. And as we were meeting, we found that the client had other needs, so we had to go back and we had to start with new ideas to help the client. So we decided, along with the client, to begin and help the client with a new strategic plan. To reach these objectives, we ourselves had to have new objectives. So we decided we needed to know the member associations of CSIT, namely the ones who had already participated in the World Sport Games. We also decided we needed to help CSIT clearly define its vision, mission, values, and goals. And to do so, and to help CSIT with a strategic plan, we also decided we had to benchmark, not only look at the literature, but go to international sport organizations who also have multi-sport events and get best practices, get problems and limitations that they had, and try to find how they address those problems and limitations. And finally, we wanted to give CSIT the stepping stones for the next 2 years. How did we do it? The methodology was simple, but we tried to be very complete. We did literature review. We will talk in a few minutes about the areas that we have chosen. We talked with experts in these scientific areas. We did a questionnaire for CSIT to really understand where CSIT stood in February 2013, so we began quite early. And we did a survey, a questionnaire to member associations to know more about the sports they had and what were their expectations towards the games. And finally, we did an interview and we addressed international sport organizations who had multi-sport events. Well, after understanding the clients, after going to these international organizations, finding their problems, their limitations, and the way they address them, we focused and tried to bring a new mindset to CSIT so they could have a clear picture of what was ahead. And finally, and also by request of the client, we prepared a time plan with guidelines for the client at the end. The very special thing about the work, and it really motivated us, was that we were able to, by understanding the client, choosing the scientific areas we would work on. So we chose the strategy, development, and sports marketing. And we picked the most useful theories for the client, and we transformed these theories into categories. So it was by defining these 8 categories that we build the foundations for our work and hope to have given the client some useful guidelines also based on the categories. How did we do it? We built the interviews questions based on each category. So for each element we had questions. It made it easier for us to make the interview, to address the right issues, so that further ahead we could help our clients. And then we chose specific major international sport organizations. We went to privacy, and we had the help of Antoine Lecce, who was responsible for the OG. went to FISU, and we had the help of Paulo Ferreira, which was responsible for the University World Championships. And we went to FIBA, and we had the help of Michael Naversnik, who is responsible for the new 3-on-3 events. And then, with these best practices, we actually created a new mindset. So we applied the theory to the case studies. I will now pass the floor to Carla to further explore and piece the puzzle for you. Thank you.
So how we piece the puzzle together? By understanding the questionnaires of CSIT, of the CSIT Members Association, and also through the interviews with the experts and the International Sports Organization. We tried to help CSIT to achieve their goals, what they wanted to. We also wanted to interview IMGA, is the International Master Games Association, but it was not possible, so we found it interesting to collect data from the official homepage and to put the most important details together, because it's a really a similar organization than CSIT is. So the results from the questionnaire of CSIT Members Association. For our questionnaire, we had 36 CSIT members who are already participated in World Sports Games. So we only consider them, not candidates or applicants for CSIT. As a result, we received 10 questionnaires. 3 of them were not fully completed. It was Austria, Lithuania, and Portugal. And 1, China, they only had a percentage of participation, not the data. So we couldn't consider them for the first results. We found that there are huge differences in these 6 member associations regarding participation. On the next slide, we will present the 3 most important results, like we have it here. So first, you can see the more participated age group are from 26 to 45. It's the same in men and women. There is a growth in participation from 5 until 45, and then there is a small decline until over 71. And it's really in all in this 6 member association the same. We emphasize that participation in 31 to 45 is the hugest participation. If this results continues in next surveys, which they do, we consider to focus more on this group during the World Sport Games. But we will see in the next survey what they find out. In total, there were 21 different sports at the World Sport Games in Varna. They happened this year in June. And we can see that the members association are they don't have to participate in all sports. They can choose which sport they want. So it's not obligatory to have every sport. Here on this graph, you can see the different countries. We had this. Now here you can see the 10 member association. We received a questionnaire because here it's not important the participation of the athletes. And you can see the individual sports, athletics, swimming, table tennis, and tennis are the most popular. And then it's basketball, beach volleyball, street ball, and volleyball. Regarding the key motivational factors to participate in the World Sports Games, we have found a small mistake linked to an incorrect scale transposition in our work, but we already changed this here in the results. On the questionnaire, we made 5 key motivational factors available. This is holidays, sports for fun, intercultural experience, networking, meet new people, and sports competition. And we can see that and the member association had to grade them from 1, least important, to 5, most important. And we can see for them, sports competition was the most important, and holidays was the least important. and similar values to sport for fun, intercultural experience, and meet new people. Now we go further to results from the interviews, and I will give the floor to Raphael.
Hello everyone. So now, just like Carla said, I will discuss the results that we obtained when interviewing the IOC, FISU, and FIBA. The first thing I'd like to go over is that all three discussed the absolute necessity and highlighted the importance of a clear definition of one's vision, mission, values, and goals. In turn, one needs to build its stakeholder network, identifying who they are, understanding them, involving them, and most importantly, creating a relationship with them and nurturing it. A relationship is really essential to success, in our opinion, and in theirs. Constant communication is a key and will help in the development of an organization's strategy. Mr. Gurci from the IOC, Mr. Neversnik from FIBA, and Mr. Ferreira from FISU depicted the different generic strategies they would use for their events. Whether it be a university championship, the Youth Olympic Games, or the new 3-on-3 event, uniqueness brings attractiveness in their opinion. Being unique means creating a niche, finding one's place, and demonstrates that you know what you want to achieve. The positioning ties in with the uniqueness. The promotion of different cultures, education, within a sport-for-all community-like setting should represent the key attractiveness and values of the CSIT. The event strategy will depend on how the positioning is undergone. Hence, if a partnership can be made with the IOC, making use of their educational programs, for instance, and the local community is involved, a competitive advantage will become more and more apparent for the CSIT. So the big picture, the recommendations over time that we feel are the most key factors and the things that the CSIT should remember. The first, understanding their MAs, their member associations. All three organizations said this is absolutely necessary for the CSIT. We believe that first and foremost, the CSIT must take time to develop an appropriate questionnaire and truly find out who their members are. Additionally, we feel that the CSIT should identify their stakeholders, whether they are internal or external stakeholders. It is absolutely adamant that they find out who they are and what they want. At this point in time, it will become essential to build an appropriate structure for the CSIT, defining the roles, the needs that they have, and most important, settling their administration. Our fourth recommendation, and one that we truly find important and that the organizations insisted upon, is communication. As mentioned previously, a key to success for sport federations and organizations undoubtedly includes sound communication between them. We also recommend putting in place appropriate documentation. The sports federations we met made it relevant that building concrete guidelines, statutes, structures for all departments, events, or any aspect related to is definitely necessary. Then seeking appropriate partnerships, so finding the right ones, making the right contacts, developing it. So we briefly discussed a partnership with the IOC using their educational program. So getting this going would definitely be ideal. Then in turn, developing the World Sport Games, using all of what's been done before to develop their games and make something new of it, building this new brand that we want them to do in the future. Something new, something dynamic, something that feels fresh. They really need to construct a new brand from A to Z and continue to mold it. Finally, as was mentioned by Carla before, we want them to consider the International Masters Games. They have events that are easy to reach, venues that already exist, and good touristic and cultural destinations, something that CSIT could look into and perhaps benefit from. They also have people competing individually. You don't need to be part of a federation or an association, so it makes it a lot easier. All this taken into consideration, we then believe that it can be used and it can be communicated and reached, that they can reach, their participants for one, eventual sponsors, and eventual bid cities will become more attractive. Lastly, we decided between us that these are the steps and things that the CSIT must continue to understand and continue to observe. So the cycle for us would be, in a few words, first to analyze the situation, then to define exactly where they're headed, to communicate it with the people around them and those involved, to implement it, and then finally to evaluate it. This for us is a circle that will continue to go round, and they must never forget it. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your time. So just on a side note, if we can just briefly keep that one up for the time being. As we mentioned in the very beginning, we made a time plan for them, so something concrete that they can follow, which you can see there on the board. Basically, so as if they do choose to follow this plan, they have something concrete that they can follow for the next 2 years. Thank you.